Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Kohelet Yeshiva's virtual Gala 2020. I know it's hard to believe and hard to remember at this point, but our year did not start in quarantine. No, our school year here at Kohelet Yeshiva started with incredible fanfare as we opened our new K-8 building for the very first time. As after 4 years of being crowded temporary spaces, our children finally had a home to call their own, and what a spectacular home and place of learning it is. And at the same time, our high school, who sucked in and inhaled to accommodate our younger children and faculty over the past few years, were able to exhale and get back their own space and new space, expanded space, with a new fab lab and an Ivrit suite, a new multi-purpose room, a space once again all their own. And as our year began, we celebrated milestones together. We dedicated a new Beit Midrash. We brought in a new Sefer Torah. We came together as a community for incredible Yamim Noraim. We danced together, we sang together, we davened together, we learned together. And with our students, we had programs in which we climbed the highest of heights. We had Shabbatons which were inspiring from our high school down to 4th grade. We filled this very room with Chagigot Tfilah, in which our youngest students began their journey towards connecting to Hashem. Indeed, it was a phenomenal year of learning, from kindergarten right up through 12th grade. It was a year in which we saw an astounding 83% of our graduates accepted into the schools of their choice, and $86,000 of merit aid on average earned by each of those amazing seniors. It was a year in which our high school students once again placed in the top of the Yeshiva University's Bekius program, and in which students from both the high school and the middle school placed nationally amongst the finalists in the National Chidon HaTanakh. It was a year in which we came together to celebrate, a year in which we came together to learn, a year in which we all grew in ways that we perhaps never imagined. And then came the quarantine. And yes, life has been turned on its head, and we're all experiencing things we've never quite experienced before. But we did not stop, and we did not lie down. We've risen to the challenges as they've come, and we've risen together as a community, tighter, more supportive than we've ever been before. We've been there for each other when we've needed it. And yes, we have needed it indeed. And so we come together this evening to celebrate what has been a phenomenal year, what has been a year that we will never quite forget, but a year that has also saw certain people rise above, go beyond in ways that touch the heart of all of us and touch the lives of so many of us. And so it is my pleasure this evening to begin our program by introducing the recipient of our first ever Kohelet Yeshiva Community Service Award. Dan Ostrov began this year with what would have been a highlight, and perhaps the highlight in any other ordinary year. We started by dedicating the furniture in our middle school Beit Midrash, which he made with his own hands, and through which he taught us all a powerful lesson of what art can and should do to bring meaning and richness into our lives, to help us preserve the memories of the past as he dedicated his work in our Beit Midrash to his grandfather. And the shul which his grandfather grew up in which he was bar mitzvahed, which was burned down in Kristallnacht, came back to life in the form of our middle school Beit Midrash. But little did we know then that that would be the second most impressive thing that Dan Ostrov did for us, for our school, and for our community this year. And so, without further ado, let us take a moment to pay tribute to the extraordinary efforts of Dan Ostrov, his wife Stephanie Cole, as they led us through this Face Shields initiative.
Dan Ostrov is the upper school, the high school art teacher, and also is in charge of our Fab Lab.
He's hands-on, he's a builder.
For Dan, art isn't something that you just look at. Art is something physical. It's 3D. It's something that one can interact with.
No matter what the idea I come up with for our high school art program, or for using our tech, our 3D printer, our laser cutter, anything like that in a Fab Lab, Dan always says, yeah, we can do that.
It's been incredible to see how many of our kids have taken to him and to this space because he is in it.
I had Mr. O for art elective in 9th and 10th grade, and he was a very fun teacher who always walked into class with a smile and made sure that all his students found exactly what they loved about art.
Mr. O helped me take this passion that I already possess and help me grow and develop it as much as I can.
While schools around the country are closed, this classroom at Kohelet Yeshiva High School in Marion Station remains open. Using the school's recently upgraded fabrications lab's 3D printers and laser cutters, Daniel Ostrov, one of the school's teachers, and his wife went to work on producing the shields that are being donated free of charge to those that need the most.
I belong to a Google email group for K through 12 maker educators. And when this whole lockdown started, someone had sent out a link to plans to make face shields in a makerspace. And when I saw that, it really resonated with me. I knew that this is part of our mission. I knew that Rabbi Pearl would grab hold of this. I knew that Dan, who's somebody who I know cares about making the world a better place, I knew that he would want to be involved.
So she forwarded the email to me and to Dan and said, Dan, do you think we have the capacity to do this?
And really taking a look at him, I was like, I think we can.
The next day already, he was in our lab tinkering with the designs that were out there, trying to figure something out.
We were both here and spent, I think, about 16 hours just prototyping and getting materials.
By Wednesday of that week, we had brought this first prototype over to Lankenau Medical Center.
Got approved at Lankenau, and then, once we were able to tell hospitals that, people started donating, and then the floodgates just kind of opened.
Initially, a few hundred were made and given to the families of students who work in area hospitals. Now, the orders have been coming in by the thousands.
We realized we needed large amounts and large quantities of these supplies. And it became clear that we needed somebody to manage this process for us.
And so then Joe's Willenberg started working with us.
They had a design that was functional, they had a distribution method, but they were having a little bit of trouble with logistics.
He essentially took over the sourcing material, collecting material, and a lot of the distributing of face shields.
Once they saw that they actually could really, make a significant difference, immediately it was round the clock. It was, how can we make it even more efficient? How can we make it more effective?
Knowing that these people really needed them, that people were really begging, we need some kind of protection. That was really what kept us going.
Being out on a call wearing one of these face shields and knowing that my art teacher and my principal have been producing these makes me feel very proud of the fact that I went to Kohelet.
That sense of doing the right thing, that sense of responsibility is part of a Kohelet's mission. I think it's part of the way Rabbi Pearl views his role as the leader of the school, and it's certainly the way Mr. O views his job as a member of the school community.
We are still and always going to be educators of modern Orthodox children. But this whole face shield project speaks to our core identity.
This will be a memory that Kohelet can be proud of, Lower Marion can be proud of, Dan can be proud of.
Thank you, Mr. O, for showing us what a huge impact a few people can make.
Dan, it was a pleasure and an honor working with you.
And we can't wait to see what you'll do next.
There's no question that we have to thank all of the people who have been involved in this incredible project. But you, Dan, you were at the heart of this. And therefore, this tribute deservedly goes to you. Thank you, Dan. It is my pleasure to present Kohelet Yeshiva's Community Service Award to Mr. Dan Ostrov, fondly known as Mr. O. The award, which I will place in the Fab Lab for him, reads Kohelet Yeshiva Community Service Award presented to Daniel Ostrov for his ingenuity and effort in spearheading our COVID-19 face shield project, June 14th, 2020, the 22nd of Sivan, 5780.
I would really like to thank Kohelet for this honor. It just means so much to me. I share this honor with my wife, Stephanie, who helped at every stage of this, as well as Rabbi Pearl and Jojo and everybody else who helped. Additionally, I want to dedicate this to my grandmother, Shirley, who passed away, a dear friend of mine, Chris Cotton, who I know through comedy, and also my friend Amanda, who tragically passed away in December. I want to dedicate this award to their memory.
There's a famous Rashi at the beginning of Parshat Vayetze that tells us that Yitziat Tzadik min hamakom oseh roshem, that when a righteous person leaves a place, it makes a mark, and his absence is felt. Rashi doesn't tell us, though, what happens when the partner you've been working side by side with in growing a school and a community for 4 years decides it's time for him and his family to move on. Rashi doesn't tell us what happens when one of the staunchest and loudest advocates for the values that your school stands for decides that it's time to take her voice, her opinions, and her strength and make another community the recipients of it. Rashi doesn't tell us what happens when someone who is quite literally friends with everyone, and when a woman who literally knows everything about everyone decides that the time has come for them to leave. Well, we don't quite need Rashi to answer this one for us, because we know. We know that they'll be missed. We know what Stuart Shmaria Gasner and Julia Frankston Morris have meant to our school and our community. And so, Stuart and Julia, this evening, as we wish you Etzeitchem L'Shalom, we do so in a way that we thought would be fitting for both of you. You see, since I have gotten here, Stuart has insisted that no video that we ever make can be a traditional, boring, interview-style video. And anybody who knows Julia knows that she is anything but traditional or boring. And so, Stuart, in honor of your departure, our incredible videographer, John Sherman, and I have decided to leave you with this traditional, boring video. We hope you enjoy.
I think that the move is going to be terrific for Stuart and for Julia and for their family, and I wish them only the best of luck. On a personal level, I'm really sad.
There isn't any part of our school that hasn't grown over the course of the last 5 years, and I can tell you that there's no way that we could have done any of that if I didn't have somebody by my side who I knew I could say, hey, Stuart, can you handle this? and know that it was going to get done and know that it was going to be done well.
He was always willing to move and schlep and, and get down and do the dirty work.
Whenever there were problems, they really only got resolved, I think, when Shmaria stepped in and kind of played that affable, friendly, happy-go-lucky personality that could come in and kind of make peace among big egos.
He and their family embodied the mission of Kohelet.
Julia is so thoughtful and has so much energy to her. And I think that she has this ability to unify the community and to bring together people from all different walks of life.
You can only imagine how utterly overwhelming it was when we had to close school and move into distance learning 3 days later.
Julia's like, what can we do to make these kids happy? She had engaged all of these high school kids and faculty to pair together to make chugim, to organize Erev Shabbos Ruach, to organize Motzei Shabbos Havdalah. I mean, she was behind the scenes in all of that, and Shmaria kind of using his own, kind of formal channels to make it happen.
Like so many other things with Stuart, when it enters his radar screen, there's no getting it off.
Never for one moment did he say he didn't have time for other things.
I remember one time we were at a meeting and one of us made a joke about Seinfeld, and immediately the other one kind of made eye contact, and ever since that's been our way of connecting and communicating. In fact, something occurs to me.
What's the deal with Stuart Gassner? I remember the first time I met Stuart. I went into his office, I sat down, yada, yada, yada. He's a great guy. What's the deal with all of Stuart's names? First time I meet Stuart, he tells me his name is Stuart. Then somebody else is calling him Shmira. I mean, I don't even have one name, I only have an initial. And Mr. Big Shot here has two. Maybe we should give him a nickname, like T-Bone.
I actually have 3 names for him. So there's Shmaria when, thinking about him warmly as my friend. Then there's Stuart in the professional realm. When I'm upset with him, I call him SKG.
We've got Mr. Gaitner when he's fixing the gates. We've got Mr. Grassner because he has helped put down so much grass, except when Video City had to put in fake grass in one of our videos because Mr. Grassner didn't get the grass to grow in time.
This is the donut guy. Stuart went on for, it must have been 20 minutes about donuts and Giant and how amazing donuts were at Giant and how he was going to get the bakery at Giant to become kosher.
Sure enough, he has done so. And, people, I don't know that people necessarily recognize, when they look at our community and the growth of our community over the past number of years, they point to the growth, to our shuls and to our schools as being the catalysts for that growth. But I think the secret ingredient was actually the donuts.
Stuart, he was always up to playing jokes and pranks on everyone. There was a time he tried to convince Rabbi Horn that students could sleep in the drawers during a Shabbaton. Then there was a time we tried to replace the non-fat frozen yogurt we'd ordered for an event with full-fat frozen yogurt. I mean, part of me thinks the only reason Stuart is committed to Judaism is for the jokes.
He knows how to place that joke right on the borderline of there's no way, and maybe there's a way. They'd be like, oh, I didn't tell you, but the bus for Shabbaton just called me, and they can't come anymore. But that's fine because I've got 4 parents, each driving a minivan.
Meetings need to be a little bit fun and have to have a little bit of sense of humor in them. And I can always count on him to make the joke or laugh at one of my bad jokes.
And the result is that everybody loves him. Everybody loves him going into the meeting, and everybody loves him coming out of the meeting.
And the fact that he worked out his jobs was kind of a bonus.
So I remember this time Stuart asked me to come and see the playground. And I thought, great, I like to play, I like the ground, no problem. I show up, turns out he's asking members of the community to help build the playground. Using the community, I mean, what are we, communists? I'm kidding, we commune, but Stuart, you're asking a lot of people. Next thing you know, he'll be asking us for a ride to the airport or to help him move.
I really think that the building would not be here today if it weren't for Stuart.
There's no question that when I walk in and when I see that Lego wall, that I'm going to think of him.
He got really so much out of everyone who participated in it.
He will always be part of the story of how we went from being a small high school to being a thriving K through 12.
They will continue to be a pillar of our school and the Kohelet community.
And when all else fails, remember, we just want to be with our family, and you are it.
We love you guys.
Love you guys.
We're gonna miss you.
Shmari and Julia, we love you guys and we think you're a great family. And I just want to commend you on the greatest prank you've ever played. We know you're not leaving us. We know this community wouldn't be the same without you, and that this is all a big ruse.
In all seriousness, Stuart, I think everyone here at Kohelet is really going to miss you, and that's the truth, because I believe it.
Stuart and Julia, it is my sad but great honor to give you guys, as a token of our appreciation, an Iron Dome Mezuzah. A Mezuzah made from the materials that have protected our treasured homeland, with the bracha that it should protect you and your family as you hang it in your new home in Silver Spring. I will bring it to you together with a plaque that reads, presented to Stuart and Julia F.M. Gasner, with endless appreciation for years of service to our school and our community. Hashem yishmor tzeitcha uvawecha me'ata v'ad olam. Thank you both for everything you have been and for all that you have meant to our school and our community.
Hi. On behalf of myself and Shmaria, I want to thank all of you for your good wishes and recognition. It is truly an honor to be included with this year's honorees.
I have been very fortunate to work in my dream field for 13 years, day schools. I believe strong Jewish day schools are the key to strong Jewish communities and strong Jewish leaders. Kohelet is a strong yeshiva because of our dedicated board of directors and volunteers, exceptional educational administration, talented teachers, remarkable advancement team, and committed parents and students. I want to thank all of you for your partnership. I would like to specifically thank 3 people. Scott Seligson, your commitment to this school from its early days, your eagerness and willingness to step in speaks to your commitment to Torah education in your hometown. To Deborah and David Magerman, I've had the unique opportunity to have a window into your generosity to individuals, our community, and the world. Your kindness, compassion, and care for others is something of greatness. You both model what it is to care for the world and support what you believe in. Julie and I are blessed that our relationship evolved into a meaningful, enjoyable, and fun family friendship. Rabbi Pearl, where do I even begin? I have learned so much from your vision and leadership. It has been an honor to facilitate your vision when I could. Your commitment to the education of Jewish future will make our world better. You have become a close and treasured friend. Kohelet, you took a big chance on me 4 years ago and hired a rookie executive director. I am forever grateful for this chance. You have helped me grow professionally and personally. Thank you.
This is a special school and a special community. We're so grateful to have been part of it these past few years. Thank you for welcoming and embracing us. Please keep in touch.
Good teaching is all about connection. It's about walking into the classroom in the morning and knowing which child has had a tough time this morning and which child is raring to go, just by glancing at the look on their faces. Good teaching is about sensing who needs to be prodded and who needs to be given space, which student needs to be propped up and which student, for the moment, may need to be held down. Good teaching is about building trust with your students, about getting them to know that you're looking out for them and to teach them to look out for themselves. Our teachers here at Kohelet do that masterfully. When they walk into a space, they sense where our children are and what it is they need, and they have the gifts, the talents, the skills to do exactly that. But how do we do it when the children are no longer sitting in front of you, but rather you are sitting in front of a screen? How do we do it when the children are no longer these fun-loving, sometimes too fun-loving, animate beings filled with questions and curiosity, ideas and opinions, and now they are but boxes on a screen, 10 inches for speaker view and 2 inches in the gallery? There is only one answer. And that answer is that great teaching, truly great teaching, the kind that is remembered by students forever, is also about love. It's about deep concern for the well-being of each and every child. And when there is love, when there is that type of care and concern, there is no obstacle that can't be overcome. And indeed, over the past 3 months, our teachers have been overcoming obstacle after obstacle. They have had to relearn how to teach. And they've had to do so while being at home with their own children who needed them in ways that they never have before. And they've had to do so while dealing with sickness in their own families and amongst friends. They've had to do so under the pressure of unprecedented financial hardship. But at the end of the day, when it's about love, nothing stands in their way. And indeed, nothing has stood in our teachers' way. They have gone above, beyond, and then some over the course of the last 3 months to ensure that our children continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to find themselves and become who they are capable of being. And so it is fitting, indeed, we couldn't imagine it any other way than to come together this evening and make our guests of honor our teachers. This, teachers, is for you.
Okay, everybody, we're going to get started.
Boker tov, ma shlomech?
All right, good. We're all here. Okay, fantastic.
The first thing I have on our agenda are some surprise guests.
In honor of Teacher Appreciation Week, and we appreciate you guys so much.
I have 2 special guests that I'm going to invite into the room now.
These surprise guests have a message for you all.
And they have something special they want to say to you.
Hi.
Hi. Look who's here. It's Leon and it's Sammy.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry to bomb your meeting.
Hi.
Hi.
I popped in to say thank you to you. Thank you for all that you guys do and for continuing to offer your best.
When our school started closing down its campus, we were nervous.
We didn't know what to think.
We were scared, we were worried. How will our kids adapt?
How are we going to be prepared for next year?
When am I going to be with my friends again?
Will the rest of this year be lost?
But then you helped us. Somehow you figured it out.
I'm astounded at how quickly you have pivoted to a completely new mode of teaching.
And it's truly something to behold that you're still able to keep everyone engaged.
We weren't really sure how we were really going to learn as much as we do in a classroom through distance learning, but you guys have really been creative and made it work.
I really love our teacher check-ins, and they check in with how we're doing at home with this new way of learning.
With every comment on Seesaw, with every individualized assignment, every time you call our kid's name in one of their Zoom meetings, you're reaching out and reminding our kids of the community that they're a part of.
While we're not all physically in the same space, the warmth that you all bring still manages to provide that same cozy experience that we all have at Kohelet.
We know this hasn't been easy.
We see you teaching our kids
from your homes with your kids in the background.
Trying to engage the students and keep them engaged.
Providing structure for our kids in a time when they need structure more than anything else.
We were all trying to figure this out.
It's one thing to write a plan about how to teach,
inspire,
motivate,
care remotely.
It's another thing to make it happen. And this only happened because of you. You made sure our school was able to go on and thrive.
Because when things got difficult,
you didn't get frustrated. You didn't give up on teaching.
You didn't give up on us.
So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We just appreciate everything you're doing, and I wanted to say thank you.
Thanks for caring about us.
Thank you all, really.
Oh, I love you too.
Thank you.
From the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you so much.
Thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you.
The Yalkut Shimoni records a story that took place in the immediate aftermath of the destruction of the second Beit HaMikdash. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and Rabbi Yehoshua are walking through the streets of Yerushalayim as the embers continued to glow and the ashes were still hot from the destruction of our beloved temple. And keep in mind that the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash was not just about a building, but about a way of life and about lives that were lost amidst a terrible tragedy that befell the Jewish people. And there are Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and Rabbi Yehoshua walking along, and Rabbi Yehoshua looks at the ashes of what has become the Beit HaMikdash, and he says to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, how will we ever achieve atonement for our sins in a world where there is no more Beit HaMikdash, where there is no more sacrifice, no more ritual, no more ceremony? And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai turns back to Rabbi Yehoshua and he says to him, Al Yarei Bini, have no fear, my son. There is, he said, a solution for kapara, for atonement, as strong, if not stronger, than that of sacrifice and ceremony. The Eizezeh, says Yalkut Shimoni, Gmilut Chasadim. It's kindness, goodness, one person to another. And the Midrash goes on to cite as proof, first a pasuk from the Navi which says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu desires acts of kindness and goodness even more so than he desires acts of sacrifice. And then by citing the famous pasuk from Tehillim, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, that the world will be created out of kindness. The theme of our honorees that runs through all three of them this evening is kindness. Dan and Stephanie gave unspeakable effort and innumerable hours to the Face Shields project, which resulted in saving countless lives. Stuart and Julia have given their very beings for this school and this community to keep pushing and making it what we know it can and ought to be. And our teachers, there isn't any kindness quite like the kindness they have shown in giving up their own time, in creating space amidst all of this craziness to be there for our children and ensure that their learning will go on. And so my bracha to all of us this evening is that in the merit of their kindness, we will see Olam Yibaneh. We will see from their chesed the emergence of a new world, a world steeped in kindness a world which protects us, our health, our safety, our happiness, a world in which we can continue to connect with each other in person and connect with Hashem. May we see that world, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Bimheira V'yameinu. Thank you all for joining us tonight, for supporting us in these difficult times, for your chesed and the chesed that you are enabling others to perform. I hope to see you all in person very soon.